Hello there, my name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. Okay, so watching Doctor Who. I know. Yes. Well, you know, I was. Anyway, and the young heroine was wearing a skirt. Hopefully she was wearing clothes. So we've got a very simple mini skirt. We're going to sew in a couple of darts, but we're not even going to cut those. We need to sew in the zip. But the design of the skirt was a kilt, a tight kilt, and then it flopped down with a flap. And then there was a zip pocket, so made out of jean zip. So we haven't got much to do. You will be amazed at how simple a skirt is. But obviously adding the zip pocket and the zip at the side is a bit more complicated. So the measurements you need is you need the widest part of your body, oh sorry, the widest part of your hips, yeah, and then we are going to sew on an extra 10-inch probably, but if you just measure between your two hip bones, then you'll be able to find out how much extra you need. So we have our sewing machine all set up, and we have a waistband of 4 inches, and we have a zip for the side of the skirt and a button, and we have also the main dress, the main skirt. So what we need to do is, from the point that is the flap, we've cut that at quite a severe angle, and I hope you can see that, and that's just so that it flops down at the front. What we then need to do is, I'm going to keep the selvage, and I'm going to use the selvage for the flap as well, just to make life easier for me. Now, because this is tartan, I am very lucky I can use it to line this up. So, okay, I'm basically going to sew this with a dart in, so I've got my angle, and then I'm going straight down. Okay, it's that simple. And because it's tartan, once I've done the dart, I can then use the pattern just to line it up. So the dart should be the distance between, the height should be the distance between your waist and the distance between your hips, so not that long. It's probably only 2-3 inches, and the dart needs to take in half of the distance between the waist and the hips. So for me, I only need to take it in sort of 2 inches on each side. Now, the nice thing about the tartan material is that it's got quite a lot of give in it. So, you know, we can sort of, it's not stretchy because that's the wrong word, but it does have quite a nice sort of pull in it. So, for the other side, sorry, I'm having a bit of trauma here. Who thought that was particularly strong thread? I'm going to hold it up. I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to take the zip that I'm going to use as the side. I'm going to lie it along the side, and I'm literally just cutting on this fold. I know it seems so sacrilegious when you see somebody like me make a skirt, because you think that just can't be right. Okay, now I'm going to make the dart, so it's literally just a V, And remember, I am thinking about hem allowances all through this. And now I'm going to place my zip on the inside of the skirt. I'm going to make sure that the zip is half open, so the far side, and I'm going to make sure that the little taggy bit at the top is sticking out, and I can sew that into the waistband. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to start sewing machine. I haven't put a zipper foot or anything. I'm going to give it a good couple of stitches, and I'm going to follow the curve of the dart. When I get halfway, I'm going to leave my needle down and just close that zip. So how simple. And then I'm going to do that. Okay, now at the bottom here, I'm going to do a good couple of stitches. Okay. Alright, so I need now to sew the other side of the zip. Now I still have my dart corner. I've got it just here, I've not got it far away. Any closer than that and I'd probably have knocked it on the floor by now. So I am just going to thread this needle and we can line up the second half of the zip. So hopefully we can. Oh, there's no point me even trying to do a quick video, is there? Because if I can't guarantee that I can do this. What it is it's one brand of cotton. There's the Moon ones that I normally buy, and they're great. I can literally pull them and they don't break. And then there's another one called Star, and then there's another one that I have a lot of trouble with, and I think it just might be microscopically thicker because it does sort of play havoc with the tension, and that's why I break it. So lovely. Alright, a little cut there. What I'm now doing is I'm going to open this zip out and fold it round. I'm going to start at the bottom and place it under there. So I'm just following this curve round. When I get a decent way up, I'm going to have to open the zip again. So I'm going to leave the needle down just so that I've got a smooth continuation of stitches, and I'm going to open that zip up. So, and even with the best will in the world, you know, I am pulling the fabric. I don't mean to, but it's just, you know, we are. Okay, so I can get rid of the other half and I can get rid of any extra. I'm going to continue sewing, and I can just see a bit of the turquoise here of the skirt. Okay, so, and I'll just get rid of that. So what we're left with is the zip, and I'm going to tuck the tail bit through, and I'm just literally going to sew a triangle over the top. I just think this is the easiest way, because there's always that baggy bit of a zip when you do it yourself. So folded that over. I'm going to lie this as flat as I can underneath the sewing machine, and I still have the metal to contend with, so I'm going to be very careful not to go anywhere near that metal bit. Now, of course, you can take time and iron that out, and you can do like a contrasting thing. A little leather triangle works very well. So just with my fingers, I've just checked that I haven't got any zip bits. So again, now I'm not going to go along the top line. All I'm doing is like making a pocket. Now I'm just going over the glue of the zip, so it is sort of making noises, but I'm not going over gubbins of the zip. Lovely. So yeah, we pretty much have our skirt now, except for the hem at the bottom, obviously. Now the waistband. Let's get it all shook out so we know where we are. I'm going to close the zip-ish, not to the top because it would just make the waistband harder. Now what I have to do with my flaky bit is keep that down the front, so that's fine. Okay, I suppose we can do the hem now. The hem is quite a simple thing. It literally is. I'm going to make sure that I've got the right side, so I've got the inside, and I'm going to fold it over once, twice, and literally I'm going to keep going round. Now I've said before I'm going to keep the selvage just on the flappy bit, so that's great. Alright, so that's my next job. When we come back, we can sew in the pocket and we can sew on the waistband. Thank you. So, welcome back. All I've done is hemmed the bottom, and I've got my skirt laid out ready. Now, I know, right or wrong of this, I am going to start the waistband from what would be the back of the garment. So I have it ready under my machine. I have my 4-inch strip, so this is my waistband plus hemming allowance for 2 sides. Now I'm going to line it up so that I've got a bit that I can fold over. I have the top of my zip here as well showing through, so I do need to be just aware that there is a zip there. So I'm going to, rather than, you know, ram it in, I'm going to gently start it. Now this flap, you do need to sort of keep an eye on it, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line it up again, and I'm going to stick a pin in it. But because I'm going to be sewing at the back, I'm going to stick the pin at the back, so hopefully I can see it. So yes, all about making sure that everything's where it should be, and then it is literally sew around the entirety of the skirt with the waistband pointing downwards. I have a little bit of the skirt at the top to show through. Circle, so we just allow it to keep going round. I'm coming up over the dart at the side, so I can just keep my hands on the dart for no other reason than keeping it flat. So I'm just coming up now to the 2 bits of fabric. Now I put that pin in there to keep it level. So I've just got to keep an eye on it. I can take that pin out now because I noticed that I was there. That's all I was worried about. Now you can always cut your waistbands a couple of inches longer, this so that if there is any problems, then it's not an unpickable thing, is it? It's just a trim thing. I always do. And I suppose, you know, if you wanted me to say it's a cheat, well, I'll say it's a cheat. You know, I measure it all up, and then I do just to make sure that there's enough. It's easier. There's not much use I can use for. Okay, just had a little fiddle, and I made sure that I've got my zip and my top there ready to sew. So I've got my finger on it, and I'm just allowing the machine to take it. Again, a couple of stitches on the fabric of the zip, making sure that I don't actually sew the zip. Lovely. So pull that out. What I need to do now is just trim the end of that, which is great, and from the end I've just sewn, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold that over, and I'm literally one single fold, and I'm going to run a line of stitches. Okay. Now I haven't even gone all the way along, it's just, I suppose because I can, it's like a tack. Now what I need to do is I need to fold this over and then fold that over. Now in a way, interfacing is really handy for this sort of thing, just so that you can get everything as you like it. I'm not going to use interfacing. I regard this as a sort of summer skirt, and well, to be honest, I can get away with wearing it to the office, and my office is set to 20 all year round, so it's a bit of a pain, I think. I would prefer it to be slightly chillier in the winter, so I could wear winter clothes. Okay, so anyway, I am waffling again. What I've got here, which is luck rather than judgment, I assure you, is I have got a very nice white double line. So what I'm going to do is make use of that. And I'm literally going to fold and sew along this white double line, and I'm going to follow it all the way along. Now, I did need to make sure that I had my flap all prepared, and what I can do is I can literally feel the previous line of stitches. So when I'm laying this down here, I'm literally laying it on that line of stitches. I'm being careful not to pull it, because I don't want it to sort of snake around, and that can easily happen because it is very, very easy to do that. So again, I've lined up over the line of stitches, and I just have to keep on sewing, you know, it's a circle basically, and when I get to the other end I can stop sewing. Now, because I'm not giving myself much of a hemline, what I'm actually doing is I'm getting it caught up in my foot. This is just a Fiona thing. So there we go, taking off any couplers that I may have caused by pulling it. And we are coming to the back now. I could just hear going over the hem. Because one of the things we do with the sewing machine is, okay, I am actually leaning on the table, but what would be better is if we held it flat. So, last little bit, fold it, line it up with the stitches, always do that because it's very easy to go off at a sort of triangle. Now, one of the things I always try to avoid is lining up the tartan. I deliberately don't, but what I can tell is when I'm at a right angle with the top of the hem. So okay, so we are getting towards the end. I do need to, before I get there, is fold over this end here, which is the top of the waistband, and I need to tuck it in, make sure that I've got my zip tucked in, and I'm making sure that I've got any flaky bits tucked in. Now what I mean by flaky bits is previous threads and obviously the selvage. I've got that quite firmly underneath my thumb and forefinger. I'm going to keep on sewing. Watch that I don't hit my finger with that. I'm going to leave the needle down and I'm literally going to do a couple of stitches upwards, and this is just to hold in those flaky bits. Now of course I have the button and the buttonhole to do, so, and I'll be using the buttonhole stitcher, but we don't need to worry about that now. So what I've got now, right side round, is a zip with a triangle flappy support bit and a buttonhole thing. Oh, that's why it was so long, because I didn't do the thing, but I can easily rectify that. So, and then it flaps down. Now, the thing about this skirt was also that it had a pocket. So what I'm going to do is I have now just got one layer of fabric and I'm on the flap, as it were. I'm going to take my zip as a guide and I'm going to fold, I can do it from the back, it might be cleaner, how much I need to cut. So just my thumb and my forefinger, and then I need to cut down the length of the zip. So far I've done a straight line. I'm going to do like a dog tooth, and that means that I'll have 4 flaps that I can pick up and I can sew. So that's great. I've got my 2 pocket pieces and I deliberately haven't sewn them together. I just find it easier to sew it together afterwards. I feel like you're pulling and fighting and everything else like that. So I'm cutting my dog tooth now. Do this one on there, which is literally just a V. Now if you're happy with doing 1/4 of an inch seams, then that's great, because that's all it takes, and it does mean that we can keep that nice and neat. Now what I need to do is I need to now sew the zip on there, and I need to have behind the zip the pocket, so I can put that pocket on there. Now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm literally 90% of the skirt I feel like I'm going to be threading through, but it just is so that it's all out of the way. And of course I've got to make sure that I've only got 1 layer of fabric. So let's get rid of all of this, and then I know it's safely out of the way, and now I can literally lift it up and I can see my dog tooth bit that I've cut, my layer of the zip and my pocket. I'm going to open the zip so that I can get a nice smooth line, and I am going to sew. Now I always like to use my sewing machine as like a third hand this foot, so you know, it is just a bad habit. Of course you can pin it, there's no reason why you can't. Now all I need to do is I need to sew 1 layer of fabric between those 2 dog teeth. So let's get that thread down. Now I am sewing around metal, and The only reason that you would worry about that is that if you break your needle and your needle goes flying off. So that's it. Maybe I could have made that pocket a bit bigger, but I'm not going to worry. I'm not a worrier. I need to get rid of all of this skirt from under the machine. Let's pull that thread through. I think all I need to do is loosen that screw. I think that's the problem. I'm making excuses, I know. Okay, so we are now back the right way around. We have to get this zip out because we're going to have to be able to see it to sew it. I'm going to pick up the flap. I'm going to place the flap in line there. I'm going to make sure I've lined it all up. I'm going to take my time over this. So all lined up, and take my pocket, line it up with the other pocket, and then all I need to do is sew those 3 bits of fabric. Again, I need to get it under the machine. So I just put the weight of the garment on the table to do that. And I'm just going to lower it carefully. Of course, making sure that nothing pings. And the way I've done it is I've done it so that I can see a piece of the pocket. I can see a piece of the black as well, the black of the zip. And I suppose in a way it's kind of punky that you have this big metal zip and tartan, because it's always associated with that. Alright, so let's have a look. It's a bit smaller than I would have liked, but it's safely and securely on there. Now, rather than trying to go over the metal bits, what I'm going to do is hand sew my little flaps in, and I can just tidy that up with hand sewing. It really is just preference. I know I need to thread a needle to do my button, so I'm not at all worried, although now I'm thinking about doing something else, or leaving it because I forgot to leave a flap, but I'm not particularly upset about that. So just get this flap from the back. If it's flat from the back, it should be okay. What you can do is, if you want to get it straight, you can fold it over underneath, and then you can just put a couple of stitches in the little flap of the dog tooth. So I've folded the zip out of the way, got all the skirt out of the way, and I'm literally, as long as it's flat, 1-2 stitches. I know. You can see why I was going to hand sew it, can't you? Lovely. So, sewing the pocket up. Give it a good shake. Make sure you haven't got anything that you shouldn't have. Stray bit of waistband caught up. And get it as close to the zip as you can. And literally just follow this around. Now, you don't need to worry about the edges of this. This is going to be caught up in the flap. So it's all fine. I'm just going to move my bobbin thread. Now, I'm pretty sure that the zip was supposed to be decoration, but you know, as we can, we will. So there we go, very carefully not to hit the zip. What I'm doing here is, again, I'm making sure this top is nice and tidy. Get rid of that. Make sure I've only got one layer of fabric. Slide it all the way along. And it is worth doing, it really is. So, I'm going to line this up. Fold over my dog tooth. Make sure everything's flat and pulling that together. I'm going to hand sew it. I'm going to ruin it if I try. I'll probably end up with a needle shard in my eye. Okay. So, I'm going to close the zip just so it lies flat. I can get a like clasp. They're like figure of 8 clasps, and I can get that done up. So, but I think I can probably get away with it. I do need to spend probably half an hour tidying up all these loose threads because I seem to have not done it whilst I was going. But there we are. We have a Doctor Who's Assistant's skirt. I know. So with a little pocket and a little flap. And it's supposed to be a bit figure hugging, I suppose. And yeah, I hope you found it interesting, and I hope I've made some sense. But yes, maybe I should just do a very simple skirt for you so that you can do that before. Alright, well thank you so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee.